Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Will Galloway, Uncle Bill by Houses. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Real Estate Pays Me. In this episode, we're going to go back in time and we're going to talk about how I closed my first wholesale deal and how I got to today where I am today.
I've been blessed to make some money off of real estate. Subscribe to the channel, I can show the way. Uncle Bill buy houses, let them demonstrate. Uncle Bill buy houses, let them demonstrate. Real estate crazy, know that God made me. Real estate pay me, real estate pay me. Tune in now. Real estate pay me, real estate pay me, real estate pay me.
Today. So going back, man, let me just say this, it was way different than it is now. Now you just have so many resources, so many apps at your disposal, so much free information at your disposal. But when I got started, it wasn't like that. The information was enclosed. It wasn't accessible like that. Apps wasn't accessible. There was not a whole lot on the internet at the time. So we really didn't have a lot to work with. But I thought that this story would be maybe motivational, inspirational for you to get started, because I believe that one of the most important things is not only just wholesaling in general, but getting inside of your mind that I can actually do it. And before I even wholesale the deal, I had to have a mindset shift, right? I had to mentally understand it, mentally get focused on, can I really do this? Am I meant to do this? Is this what God has for me, right? And I prayed about this for a very, very long time. And, I had, actually did real estate, years prior to me getting started in the business. And I did a flip project, and actually that flip project failed, right? I got into it in 2007. Got a loan for the property. It was down in Alabama, Ozark, Alabama, if you ever heard of it. I did a flip there. I barely sold the property, right before the 2008 crash. I barely sold the property. I took those proceeds. I invested into a nightclub, held the nightclub for about 2 years. That business didn't work out. It went under 2 years later, back in 2010. And, from 2010 all the way up until like 2012, I literally was unemployed. I was, doing some work with my wife, my now wife, at our hair salon. And I was crying. I cried to her. I cried to my mom, like serious tears, crying, because I really didn't know what I was supposed to be doing, right? And, one day I was just watching a real estate show. I think it was a commercial or something online. And it was a guy talking about this concept of wholesaling, where you didn't have to use any of your cash. You didn't have to use any of your credit. And I'm going to be honest with you, I thought it was a scam, because everything that I knew about real estate up until that point, you had to get a loan. You had to have good credit. You had to have some money to get started, because I had to have all of those things when I did my first real estate transaction. So here's this guy talking about doing deals with no money out of your pocket, or limited money out of your pocket. You don't have to have credit. I just didn't believe it, right? But anyway, I prayed on it, and something told me to look a little bit more deeper into this topic, right, of wholesaling. So I studied. I'm talking about all the free resources on YouTube at the time. I was just, looking at videos. I was studying. I believe I had got a course back then. The course may have been $100 or something like that. Can't remember. But I live and I slept, and I was so obsessed with learning the concept of wholesaling, right? And for like 6 months, I was doing a lot of marketing. I was doing, postcards. I was handwriting my own letters. Back then, of course, they got hundreds of different websites now where you can have pre-written letters and postcards already printed at your disposal. But back then, it wasn't a lot of companies that did that. So I basically was handwriting all of my own letters. Bandit signs, I was putting out bandit signs, which those bandit signs still work, but I was writing "We Buy Houses Cash" on them, right? I was putting them out at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, right? And these were the two marketing channels that I could afford to do at the time, because letters, I can get a notepad and I can handwrite letters myself with an ink pen. All I had to do was pay for stamps. And then the postcards, it was a local company that sold the plain corrugated plastic signs that didn't have any writing on it. And I just got a Sharpie, and I just wrote, handwritten, what my message was. And sometimes when I couldn't afford those corrugated signs, I'm gonna tell you another thing that I do. This is a tip. If you don't have any money, I literally was going in the back of like a Dollar General or a Family Dollar store, and you know how they store all of those cardboard boxes. I was literally getting those cardboard boxes. I was ripping them up and I was using those boxes for my signs. I'll put them on go to Home Depot, get some of those wooden stakes. And I was literally putting those out. Hopefully it didn't rain and melt my signs, but I mean, when you don't have no money, you have to do what you have to do. And then the third strategy I was doing was I was driving for dollars, right? Where you actually drive neighborhoods that's in your area and you're looking for boarded up, vacant houses, houses with tall grass, houses that just look distressed, right? So those are my three lead sources: drive for dollars, bandit signs, and yellow letters, right? We were getting yellow pads and writing, do you want to sell your house to me? Call me as soon as possible. We'll put a Google Voice number on there and we'll wait for phone calls to come in. Now, those were my 3 marketing channels. I talk about them in my ebook, 10 Steps of Wholesaling Houses on a Shoestring Budget. But those were the marketing channels that I had. And to this day, those marketing channels still work to this day, right? So let's get back to the deal, how I found my first deal. So I was doing a lot of these things, I'm going to say for 6 months, right? 6 to 8 months. On the 9th month, right? And I want you to learn from this. On the 9th month, I got a call. Now, before that, I was getting calls. I even put a couple of properties under contract, but nothing panned out. I wasn't able to sell the properties. I didn't really have a buyer's list at the time, and I just couldn't move the properties. And I'm going to tell you how on the 9th month, I got the phone call that changed my entire life. Hold tight. I know you enjoyed this video, but hey, I just wanted to take some time to introduce you to my newest community inside of the school platform. It's called the Flip University. Now, once you get inside of the Flip University, you'll instantly have access to over 5 courses that's already uploaded in there, going over wholesaling, creative financing, just real estate in general, marketing. You'll have access to all of these courses already once you get inside. We also have a general discussion tab. So anytime you get stuck, you got a question, somebody, either me or somebody on my team, will answer that question on the go. And also we do weekly Zoom coaching calls, right? So if you want to jump on a call, you want to go over something, you got a question, you want to go over a deal, anything you want to talk about, you'll have access to me and my team on those Zoom weekly coaching calls. One of the best things I like about the community is I've started implementing 1 live in-person walkthroughs of one of my properties here in Atlanta. That's right. You get a chance to come to Atlanta. You get a chance to meet me in person at one of my properties. It might be one of my rentals, one of my fix and flips. You'll be able to walk through these properties. You'll be able to ask me any question you want to about the property or anything you got going on. This is what I have for you inside of the Flip University. Hands down, best thing going right now. If you want to get started, you get a chance to vibe and network with other like-minded individuals. So if you want to know a little bit more about the Flip University, click the link in the bio somewhere. You'll see the post. All right, get back to the video. Let's go. Phone call from an older lady, right? And she said, hey, I got your postcard about 4 or 5 months ago, but I kept it because I knew at one point I would be interested in selling my property. And I was just calling to see, were you still buying houses? And I said, sure, yes, I'm buying houses. And in the back of my mind, like, I haven't even sold one house. So I was like, yes, ma'am, I am still buying houses. Is this something I can assist you with? And she started telling me her backstory. And she was basically just telling me about how her husband pretty much had a small rental portfolio, and he was actually dying of cancer. And they needed to collect as much money as they could to pay for medical bills and expenses and just preparing for his last days, So I really felt at that point, God put me in position to be able to really help this family. And that's the thing I really love about this business, because out of all of the hundreds of deals that I've actually closed in my career, probably 90%, 99% of them has something to do with helping somebody in a hard time, right? And we love helping people in this business because that's what it's all about. So I was like, yes, ma'am, is there a way I can meet you at the properties? And she had 2 properties that she wanted to show me. So I met her at both of the properties. We did a walkthrough of both of the properties. I took all my photos and things. And I was so excited. I had my contract ready, and they was ready. We came to the agreement on the price. And she let me put both properties on the contract. And again, I hadn't done one wholesale deal. And here I am walking into an appointment, putting 2 properties under contract, right? So I was super excited. So we got the properties, I put them under contract. And again, I didn't really have a solid buyer's list. So some of the things that I did in these strategies, again, still work to this day, is I utilize online platforms like Craigslist. I believe I posted on social media at the time. And I was just, calling a couple of the investors that I knew in the area that was, doing deals. And that's another thing you need to do, is you need to reach out to, if you don't have a real big buyer's list, reach out to other wholesalers, reach out to real estate agents, reach out to other people in the area who's familiar with, what to do. Research online who actually has sold a property or who has purchased a property in the area where you got a contract at, because 9 times out of 10, if they bought or they had something to do with a transaction, they're looking to do more business. So I researched, and then I just started putting the word out there. I was putting signs out. I was putting, letters out. I was just reaching out to buyers, reaching out to agents, Craigslist. I was posting things online, social media platforms. And I got a call from an investor, which I thought he was an investor. I thought he was a buyer. Let me say that. I thought he was a buyer, but come to find out he ended up being another wholesaler. And so I had 2 properties. One, an investor called me and he said, hey, I want to buy the property, right? And I'm thinking that he was the actual buyer, but come to find out he was another wholesaler like myself. And again, I didn't know what I was doing. So when he said he was a buyer, I just believed him. But he ended up wholesaling it to another actual buyer who I still do business with to this day. I know the guy. He's, basically a buyer and a wholesaler, but he ended up flipping it to that guy. And this is when I learned firsthand how to do a joint venture or how to co-wholesale with another investor. And I didn't know anything about it to that point, right? So the first deal, this guy, I'm thinking he's the buyer, but he ended up flipping it to somebody else. So he ended up making, I want to say 3,000 to 5,000. I think on that deal, I made 5,000. And then the other investor ended up buying it. And I think he even sold it to somebody else. So that was my first introduction to a daisy chain. And then the second property, an agent found me online, but actually the agent was a buyer. He was buying properties and he was doing like seller finance deals. And even him to this day, we're still good friends. We still do business together. So that's the thing. Once you create a relationship and once you do business with people, as long as you keep your integrity, that's a lifetime, relationship that'll never go under, right? So I end up assigning it over to him for $6,000. So on my first wholesale deal, helping this family out, putting 2 properties under contract, I wholesaled one and made an assignment fee of $5,000. I wholesaled the other one to the agent/buyer for $6,000. So that was my introduction to wholesaling. That was my introduction to real estate. I made $11,000, $5,000 on one, $6,000 on the other one. I didn't do a double close. I just did an assignment. And if you don't know what an assignment is when you have a contract with the seller, which I had a contract with the seller, there's a clause in there to where we have equitable interest in that contract to where we can either buy it or we can sign our interest over to somebody else. And that's what I did. I exercised that stipulation inside of the contract. And when I exercised that stipulation inside of the contract, I was able to assign it over to the next person. So I assigned it over to the other one investor on the one deal. And on the second deal, I assigned it over to the agent who was a buyer. And I made my assignment fee of $5,000 and $6,000, which equaled up to a net profit of $11,000. And guys, I was so excited. And ever since that deal closed, it completely changed my life. I mean, since then, I've wholesaled hundreds of houses. I've flipped, probably 40 properties. I have a large rental portfolio of 20 plus houses that I own free and clear, except maybe 1 or 2. I believe I have a small note on. But I mean, it completely changed my life, guys. And the purpose of this channel is I want to be able to help you change your life. So hopefully this story inspired you. Hopefully you'll be able to get some ideas. Just to recap, I believe the most important part of this message is you have to believe in yourself, right? You have to have the mindset to say, you know what, I'm going to do whatever it is possible to be able to learn this business to where I can take it to the next level. If Will can do it with no experience at all, then I can do it, right? I'm no different from you guys. I was sitting in the same position you were, just trying to learn, trying to get as much free information as possible. But the thing that separated me from a lot of people is I took action, guys. So learning is just not enough. You actually have to implement the things that you learn. You have to implement the strategies, and you have to sometimes invest in yourself. Whether you have no budget, whether you have a small budget, you still have to take action, guys. So hopefully this video was able to help you. I pray that you close your next deal, or maybe, whatever that looks like. I just, if I could be a part of your journey, I would love to. Hopefully you can subscribe to this channel, Real Estate Pays Me. Again, the purpose of this channel is for you to get paid in real estate. I believe you deserve it. I believe, you need to be in a real estate, whether you're an investor, whether you're a homeowner, whatever that looks like, you need to be getting paid for real estate. And in this channel, I pray that you subscribe, you like, you comment, And we look forward to seeing you on the next video. Hopefully this story inspired you.